Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and we are going to talk about betrayal today. So, cheers, let's talk about it. Betrayal energy. It is a big collective clearing right now on betrayal, and you see that everywhere. You can't get away from the energy of betrayal. We can't get away from the feeling that we betrayed, someone betrayed us. But it really gets rooted back into how we kind of betrayed ourselves. Now, you'll see a lot of people who are really into their galactic aspects, which when you come through ascension, there are two big stages in a sense of ascension. I mean, and it goes on forever. We never finish. But no matter where someone is, whether they're going inside to work through our distortions, when we're trying to work through our programming, when we're trying to really kind of activate that love, that pure love, the love for humanity, our light, in a sense. People call it our soul light. When we try to find that again, we try to connect to that again, we go through a very deep process to do that. And we dig up a lot of stuff, and we do dig up a lot of betrayal. Or we will go the other way, which means we'll go up first and we will tap into our galactic aspects. You might have a big love for space. You might have a big love for anything that has to do with the galactic races. You see a lot of people who are really in those phases, they will, channel all the galactic races, and they'll constantly talk about them and kind of bring that information down. Now, some of them will still do it as kind of channeled. In other words, they are tapping into that galactic aspect of them, but because they haven't embodied it yet, they will still feel it as a separate thing. So that's basically what happens in channeling. It feels like it's coming down because your body is not in the vibration where that aspect is embodied. So it feels like something else. It feels like it's not you. It's just you at a higher vibration. So when you see people doing that, that's basically what they're doing. So I always do a plug for channeling. If you haven't channeled and you haven't attempted that, do it, have fun with it, know it's just you. You can't channel anybody else but yourself. So have fun with it and kind of see. A lot of people will get their galactic names. A lot of people will get their galactic, they'll identify with certain galactic races. And it's a much, to me, when I went through a galactic phase, it was a much funner, it was a lighter phase than the soul. When you go down first, down and then up. It's galactic intelligence. You start to understand where all of the big, medical breakthroughs have come from in the past so many years. It is a very freeing, to me, it was a very freeing aspect. Now, but when you are in those aspects, there is a lot of betrayal energy which comes with those aspects too, because so many of the galactic races betrayed each other, and there were so many galactic wars, and you might even start dreaming about galactic wars when you're really digging in, sort of to those aspects. So you're going to find that betrayal line comes through. You're going to find that same betrayal line comes through when you get through Christ energy. When you go through a lot of our soul aspects, the betrayal, sometimes the feet will be, will be a big part of some people's ascension as far as they start to hurt. And the feet are big betrayal energy. Knives in the back, you might start having stabbing pains in your back. That's big betrayal energy. If you're starting to have a lot of pain in your shoulder blades, a lot of people will talk about, metaphorically, that's a lot of betrayal energy that sets. We try to carry a lot, and when usually that's not looked at as appreciated in any way, we start to feel really weighed down, and we can feel betrayed by that a lot. So a lot of stuff that goes on in the body, everything that goes on in the body has to do with these energetic patterns that are coming through, these energetic programs that are coming through, and betrayal is a massive one. But we really kind of, when we start talking about the galactics, and you start talking about being in a human body, because there's a lot of material you're going to find that's going to say that really human realities are really just a galactic prison, and we were kind of forced in here. We're trying to clear our galactic karma. We're forced to kind of live separate. In a sense, we're not in touch with ourselves. We're kind of trying to live not in touch with source consciousness. We're really trapped in a very disconnected state. And there's a lot of people that when you feel that, you're like, yeah, I kind of feel that. Like that feels very much how you describe your human aspect and what goes on there. And there's some betrayal in that, you know, even though we agreed to it. So when we start looking at betrayal energy, it's always going to come back to us because we betray ourselves. You know, we compromise, we go with what other people feel is what we should do. We are constantly in a disempowered state, and we don't really feel our power. Now, a lot of people will say, well, if the galactic aspects are so fun and the soul aspects can be a lot of digging through our shit, why do we have to do that? We have to do the soul work because if you don't, you don't have the galactic aspects have no love for humanity. So when you're in those aspects and you're embodying in those aspects, you will feel very disconnected from humanity as a whole, and you will feel very, very direct, very straightforward, and you really just kind of are on more of a galactic mission to get something done. You know, you don't have the feeling involved with it. So when you're in that phase, it's a great way to disconnect from realities. It's a great way to start cutting cords when you start looking at these and feeling in and embodying these aspects. But they don't have that profound love for humanity that you need you need to kind of combine the two. And so I went soul first, then galactic, and then kind of back to soul. And then to me, you're kind of doing both at the same time after that. Some people go galactic first. And it kind of depends on which way you're going to go. But you can't really get away from doing the harsh soul work and really realize that betrayal starts with ourselves. Because if we don't betray ourselves, no one else can betray us. It's very much the flip side of anger. We get angry because someone else did something, right? That's usually the profound thing about anger. But when we really start to dissect why we're angry, it's because we allowed that to happen. We allowed that to continue to happen. We went against our organic flow. We went against what we knew we should be doing to hold on to something. We're only going to betray ourselves. We're only going to reach that level of anger, which really propels us to go the way we should have gone in the first place. That's why anger comes up for us. It pushes us in the direction we should have been long before. But we have to let it get to that point. We have to let it explode so we can go, okay, I'm out of here. Fuck this, I'm gone. And the minute I'm gone, that's where I should have been to begin with. But we have all these ties to these old realities. We have all these ties to the story around, why I had to do it. And we start realizing the story is complete garbage and it really wasn't true to begin with. We just convinced ourselves, we wall us into these realities. We try to hold these realities in place, and it takes a massive amount to hold our reality in place, especially a distorted one, because it's continuously getting pulled away. It's kind of like the scenes from Into the Spider-Verse when the whole reality start melding away and they start dripping away. They did that in the What If on the Disney Channel 2 animated series. It just, everything starts dripping away and we're trying to just hold on to nothing, and we feel betrayed by that. But when we start to take it on ourselves that we're betraying ourselves, we're the ones that allowed it. We're the ones that kept saying it was fine because we didn't want to deal with it. We didn't want to have to own up to it. We didn't want to have to stand up for ourselves. We didn't want to have to really make the choices that had to be made to get out of that reality, to close that reality down from its highest place. We didn't want to have to do all that. So we just kept going along with it. We kept on compromising. And compromise is the one thing that we will always come back to and see that, wow, I really compromise. The whole human aspect is one of compromise. It compromises to fit into the human realities. It compromises to stay in the human realities. It compromises on what we should do. It compromises on how we should think about something. Everything that's around us in the human realities is trying to program us to just believe that there's only one reality. Which is bullshit. It's not just one reality. There's a zillion different realities. It's not just that one, but the whole human conditioning is that this is the only one. Now, for a while, you have to cut all that stuff out. And when you start connecting inside, you have to disconnect outside because you cannot connect inside and stay connected to all the outside distortions of the human realities. But eventually, you get such a strong connection outside, you can just start to see it for what it is. You can go back and see, oh, yeah, look at that distortion. Look, I can listen to that and know that it's propaganda. It's like I'm watching something on a movie. Like a news reel from a movie background is what it starts to become to you. Because you can feel through that. And you can use it and look at the higher higher timelines running through that. You can look at a different perception of it. The stuff doesn't bother you like it used to. I used to not be able to watch any type of violence at all like 4 or 5 years ago. And now it doesn't really bother me. I don't enjoy a lot of it. Sometimes I'll watch certain things just because I know it's something in there for me. I'm going to glean something from it. I'm going to do a video or do a stream on something related to that, but from a higher consciousness perspective, because everything we can break down into that. Anything we look at, we can take it down to a higher consciousness, why it was important, why it needed to be that way, why all these things have to happen the way they do. Because in our human aspect, we feel betrayed because we need the betrayal to push us out of that reality. If we don't feel betrayal, we're not leaving. We're going to stay put. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay exactly where we are. I'm not moving. I'm going to stay right here. Because we have to get pushed out. The betrayal, the anger pushes us out. When you start anchoring in your soul line realities, we don't need the harsh anymore. We can expand organically. We can expand through the beauty and the fun. We can expand through the joy. We can expand through the peace. We don't expand through the trauma. But when we're in our human realities, the trauma is what pushes us into something else so we can expand. It pushes us out. We can't expand in the trauma. Everyone always talks about, to go through the trauma, or you can't expand in trauma. It's different frequencies. You have to leave it. You have to leave the reality to then be able to. You have to disconnect. And the galactic aspects are a big way to disconnect, but it brings up a lot of the betrayal. If you're in a lot of betrayal energy, you got your back's hurting, your feet are hurting, you're feeling you feel like everything's against you. That's because we're against ourselves. And a lot of this process, I'll start feeling betrayal energy when I realize I'm kind of betraying myself again. When I'm working through a deeper, more of that programming is still in there. I'm releasing more of that betrayal energy. And then we just start to look at it as, that's just betrayal energy. So let me take a look at everything I'm doing right now. Where am I not in my organic flow? Where am I compromising? Where am I trying to get back into a different flow and I'm not really being true? I don't want to say being true to yourself because that's like the most overused wordings in history is being true to ourselves. But and my oven is going off, so I have to cut this off and I'll be back. Hold on. Hold that thought. Okay, we're back. When we're in betrayal energy, and you're going to find you're going to go through this in your own kind of micro world in a sense, and then when the collective starts to clear betrayal, you're going to go through it again. You're going to go through a lot of stuff in sync with the collectives because somewhere in your DNA you're still hooked up to that collective. So I might have worked through a lot of betrayal energy 4 or 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're in it again and you're like, how am I still clearing this? And we're always going to be clearing something. And the clearings aren't as big as they used to be, and we understand how to kind of maneuver through them in a sense, and to get through them quicker, and to get through them the most effective way. And then we might have to wait. That's why it's so important for the collectives to get to these points. The collectives to be pushed, the collectives to feel betrayed, the collectives to feel just completely at a loss. Because the minute they start shedding, they start standing up for themselves, they start clearing that programming, even though they're doing it a harder way, they're doing it going through the physical reality. Whereas how we used to do it, we kind of pushed our way through the reality to clear something, where we're clearing it physically. And then even though you're still going to clear it physically from your physical body, we don't have to physically have the reality. We can have an energetic clearing of the betrayal now, and then we might have some physical stuff. A lot of times compromised energy when we start clearing that from our physical body, we'll vomit a lot. That's a big, I had a big spout with that in April, clearing a lot of compromised energy, which is a lot of vomiting. So understand that you just get to a different level. The deeper in you go, you're going to find, oh, there it is again. And then you'll find when the collectives go through it, you're going to do it again. Because somewhere in your DNA, you're still attached up to that collective. Even if it's just on a DNA level, it's not on a consciousness level anymore. It's just a little part of your DNA is still hooked to that. And we need the collectives to come on so we can clear it, so we can get to the next phase. It's all been organically orchestrated. Everything you do is very organically orchestrated. It's very organically and profoundly set up in a certain way for us to get through things as effortlessly as possible. We just fight against it so much because we get bogged down in the story. We get bogged down on who did what to who. We get bogged down on the, right and wrong. And everyone just played a role for you to clear something. That's it. Even in our human existence, that's the only reason people were around. We can paint it to be some Disney story, but that's not what it is. They're around to help us clear our stuff. The minute we clear our stuff, they're gone. Now, or they shift and they help us clear something else. But you'll find when you get into your higher aligned realities and your soul aligned realities, people don't stick around as long, as they used to, because you get to the purpose of why they're here, you don't drag it out. And unless we can then be in agreement that we're now going to shift into a higher timeline where everyone's on the same page, we're going to not be in a clearing. We're still going to maybe be partners to help people clear when it comes up, but we're going to go into a conscious partnership where everyone's going to be held to their highest aspects. And you can't live from your human aspect anymore. Most people don't want to hang on for that, A lot of times in the realities we created as humans, that was not the people that were going to be there later on. It normally isn't. So what I've started doing is say, bring me the people that are of my frequency or higher, and let me see what that's like for a while, because for a while we're just kind of clearing, assisting people in clearing, and we're still clearing, but we kind of keep feeling like we have to keep doing that as far as assisting everyone else. And we do in a sense, but there might come a time when we're like, okay, but these people don't want to do that type of journey. These people don't want that. I want somebody who wants that. So if you're in that phase, start trying that. Start saying, I want to, and even if it doesn't mean these people are going to be here forever, they just might come in for the day. But when you start just saying, I want to attract people on my vibration or higher, watch the amazing realities that can start to come in. Watch what comes in. And if it's not coming in, look in your body as to where do I still feel like maybe I don't really want it. What's really going on with me? The body's going to be the telltale sign. You can say you want it all day long, and then if anything in your body starts tightening up, you're sending that very mixed message on what you want. And that a lot of times is what gets us in that, why isn't anything really happening? Why is my messaging so mixed? Because we don't realize we're sending out a very distorted signal on what we want. And usually, the thing that is closest, the lower vibrational thing is going to come in first. That's why we always feel like, how come I thought of that horrible thing and it happened? Because it's a lot quicker for that one to come in. It's more in line at that point with our DNA until we start transcending out of that. Okay. Keep practicing the art of intuition.